It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. I was in Lidl recently and I'm doing my regular shop. I went up to Lidl because they had some Abbey de Von Clare beers in. They had the big 750ml cork and cage bottle, the blonde, which we reviewed, and some of the Rubis beers that we reviewed. So we went shopping there. I quite like Lidl anyway. I think their mince and their chicken and everything else, it's all pretty good. It's all standard fare, isn't it? I quite like the interesting stuff they do, like your French week or your German week or your Italian week, Polish week. I like all your different weeks, your themed weeks in Lidl. It's quite a nice thing to do. But I was walking in it wasn't the reduced style, it was next to the reduced style. And I come across this. It's by Laine Brewing Company and it's their Rippa Pale Ale at 4.9% ABV. Now, there was no price. It was just like sitting there, a couple of cans of it sitting there, and I thought, I've not reviewed this one. It didn't make it into my little craft beer festival. So I thought, right, let's pick it up and give it a go. So my receipt, I had a look just now at the receipt. It was £1.49 for the can. 330ml. It's 4.9% ABV. Brewed and born and bred in Brighton, UK. Let's get the beer out into a glass and see what we get. Little bit of smoke on the can opening. Beer in the glass. And I suppose it brings me to the next question, really. The next it's something that I've been thinking about lately. Now we're into March 2023. Let me show you the beer first. One finger white head, good levels of carbonation rolling up the side of the glass. It's slightly hazy, amber in colour. There's a look in the beer, at the beer. But normally by now, March 2023, by March 2022, a year ago, Tesco had launched another range of beer. Asda were releasing beer. Sainsbury's were putting beer out. I think Sainsbury's have put some beer out recently. Lidl were doing their craft beer festivals. Aldi are always doing stuff with beer, so I'm not going to kind of include Aldi in this. Marks and Spencer's bring out a couple of beers every few months. But what I've noticed from March 2023, and I don't know if it's due to this whole cost of living thing that's going on at the moment, is that Tesco have done nothing in their beer thing. They normally bring out, by January or February every year, they normally bring out another range of beers. That's stopped. They've not done that. Lidl normally have a beer festival, the craft beer festival, at least by now. At least by February. We're into March now. Absolutely nothing. So I'm wondering what's going on. I'm wondering why we're not seeing these beer festivals anymore. Is it because the supermarkets now have enough beer on their shelves? Or do they think that there's not enough growth in the craft beer segment at the moment to be able to justify these, like Lidl with these beer festivals and Tesco bringing new ranges of beer out? Has it petered out a little bit? And I asked this on a live stream a couple of weeks ago. I asked a very specific question. Has the bubble burst? And I think it hasn't burst, but it's levelled out. You can still buy your craft beer in Tesco. Sadly, Lidl don't seem to have a beer festival coming up at the moment, but maybe they'll have one in the summer of 2023. Fingers crossed. Maybe we're just having a slow start to 2023. Maybe I'm overthinking things. Anyway, aroma to this pale ale, Rippa Pale Ale. it smells okay. Quite sweet. Like a candied sweet malt. With a little bit of citrus in there. Like peach, mango, grapefruit aromas, orange peel. And a little bit of spiciness on the back end. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not bad for a pale ale. Kind of very, I would say it's very American themed in terms of its pale ale style. It's definitely an American style pale ale. It's got that very sweet beginning to it. A sweet beginning that's candied malt. You can buy little bags, or you used to be able to buy little bags of candied malt. It's pretty tasty, to be honest. Pretty good. But it reminds me of that. And then you hit this middle of the beer. This middle of lemon, grapefruit, orange peel. And then with that sweetness at the beginning, you get a bitterness on the back end of this beer. Sweetness, bitterness. It's just nicely balanced. A really nicely balanced beer. It's quite nice. It's quite nice. £1.49. Yeah, I think it's good value for money. And I say that because if you go to Lidl or Aldi, you can generally buy the little 330ml cans, this size can. They'll make their own beer, their own Lidl branded beer or the Aldi branded beer. I've not looked for a while. Hopefully they're still £1.20. I've not looked for a while. But what you tend to get from the 330ml cans at £1.20 in Lidl and Aldi is that they're really hit and miss. Really hit and miss. You can either get a really good one, but that's rare, or you can get something quite shockingly bad and almost kind of undrinkable. So you'd ask to pay, pardon me, you'd ask to pay 29p more for this can of beer in Lidl. I think if you go in your Lidl store, I think you really got to kind of look next to that value kind of reduced range to find this, if you can find it in your store. But it's worth that extra 29p, that's what I'm trying to say. It's just good enough for that £1.49 price tag. Right. Rippa Pale Ale, the perfect body for the beach. Impressively honed and tuned with flavours of grapefruit, fresh lemon and pine, taking the view from our 2 pubs along the Brighton seafront, or feel the tingle of the shingle on the beach as you perform a few bicep curls with Rippa to buff your own bod. Laine Brewing Company, born out of the creativity and the inspirational beer scene of Brighton, Laine Beer Co. beers are an art form in themselves, each one a playful composition of flavour, inventiveness and good times. They're unfiltered, unpasteurised, uncompromising and unique. Yeah, I mean, it's okay, isn't it? Water, malted barley, wheat, hops and yeast. Never been to Brighton. I'd love to go to Brighton, although my ripping biceps are starting to get a bit old now. So maybe that's not for anyone to see anymore. But the 6-pack's looking more like a jellied 8-pack. Yeah, rating for this pale ale. I like it. It's one of them beers that, it's one of those beers that you just pick up and you find and you wondered if you picked up the right, and whether you should have picked it up, or why is it there, why is it in the reduced style of, or next to the reduced style in Lidl, why haven't anybody bought it? And then you think, you know, I'm just going to take a chance on this, and you take a chance and it turns out to be pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.